everyone, Pratima here. So every year Samsung launches their flagship S series phones, and like in 6 to 7 months time we also get a fan edition phone that is almost as good as Samsung's flagships with a few corners cut and a slightly cheaper price. But the most controversial thing about these Samsung fan edition phones have always been their price. For some reason, at launch, the price of the FE lineup is way too expensive. Take the S23 FE and the S24 FE for example. Both of them were launched at 60,000 rupees, and if you look at the pattern, both the S23 FE and the S24 FE received significant price cuts in 6 months of their launch. And this year, the S25 FE has also launched at a same ridiculous price of 60,000 rupees. At that price, it simply does not make sense, and honestly, I would not recommend anyone buy this phone at its current MRP. So let's imagine I am making this video from the future in like 6 months down the line when this phone is available for around 35 to 40,000 rupees, and at that discounted price, the S25 FE makes a lot of sense. In fact, for under 40,000 rupees, the S25 FE might be one of the best devices to buy for a lot of reasons. First of all, it has a great design which looks and feels almost identical to the more expensive S25 Plus. While I tested this phone, I almost had to remind myself time and again that I was not accidentally carrying the S25 Plus with me, since these two are very similar physically. The rounded corners, the flat frames, the traffic light camera design, I mean everything about the S25 FE looks similar to the S25 Plus. However, Samsung has definitely cut a few corners here, and there are 3 things I can think of. Number 1, we still get Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on both the front and the back instead of the newer Victus 2 found on the S25 Plus. Number 2, the frame is made of armor aluminum, whereas the S25 Plus uses the stronger armor aluminum too. And number 3, Samsung is still sticking with the same old optical fingerprint reader instead of the much faster ultrasonic one. The last one for me is particularly annoying because an optical sensor means I need to press my thumb for like half a second longer than the regular S25 Plus. But despite those few compromises, I'm actually pretty happy with the overall design of this year's S25 FE. And when it comes to the display, it's an easy A- too. It's a Samsung-made AMOLED screen, so it looks stunning with vibrant colors and deep contrast as always. I'm also quite happy with the stereo speakers here, and the haptics are nice and crisp too. However, this isn't the same display panel as the S25 Plus. It's not as bright whether you're in auto or manual mode, and it lacks the LTPO refresh rate that the S25 Plus has. And just look at the bezels. The difference between the two is pretty obvious. Alright, I want to talk about the software next, and honestly, I don't even need to say more than it runs on One UI. Samsung's design overhaul with last year's One UI 7 was so freaking good that it's still my favorite take on Android to this day. The entire thing looks so beautiful. There's a ton of customization options. The Good Lock app is a holy grail for customizations, and everything just feels so optimized and responsive here. And since the S25 FE falls under the Galaxy S lineup, it literally has all of Samsung's AI features as well. And I don't know about you, but I'm especially looking forward to the One UI 8.5 update more than anything else, because based on everything that I've seen online, it seems that Samsung has completely outdone itself this time with things like new customization options and system animations. Okay, besides excellent software experience, I have to say that I'm quite happy with its performance too. Or let's say I am not unhappy with its regular performance. The S25 FE uses the Exynos 2400 chip, which has like the most negligible performance jump over the S24 FE's Exynos 2400E. And while everything feels perfectly snappy and responsive, I think it would have been way better if Samsung had gone with something like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It would have done wonders for this phone. Plus, if you look at the competition, the upcoming phones like the iQOO 11 or the OnePlus 15R are expected to launch at around the 40,000 mark, and they're going to come with the Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset. So yeah, the S25 FE isn't really a performance-focused phone for the price, and it's definitely not meant for heavy gaming. Just look at S25 FE's gaming results. They're honestly kind of bizarre, I would say. I expected it to struggle with Genshin Impact at the highest settings, and it did, averaging around 53 FPS with pretty consistent frame drops throughout my gameplay. But what's strange is that the S25 FE seems to be capped for high FPS gaming. It's limited to just 60 FPS on PUBG Mobile and 90 FPS on Mobile Legends, which is surprising because the Exynos 2400 is easily capable of pushing much higher frame rates. I also don't think that Samsung limited the FPS for thermal reasons because the S25 FE's thermals are actually really good. It has a 10% larger vapor chamber cooling solution, and I barely noticed any heating except while using mobile data outdoors on a sunny day. So there's clearly enough thermal headroom for higher FPS gaming, and hopefully Samsung can fix this with a software update soon. Now, before I get into the cameras, I want to talk about its battery life. And no, this phone too, like all Samsung phones, does not have a silicon carbon battery. The S25 FE has a 4900 mAh battery, a 200 mAh bump from its predecessor, and I've been getting like 6 to 7 hours of screen on time on average here, which is not a deal breaker in any way. My S25 Ultra definitely provides like 1 to 2 hours of more screen on time. There is an upgrade in the charging department though. Now it's 45 watt, which can give me almost 60% juice after plugging it in for 30 minutes, while a complete refill still takes a little over an hour. Alright, lastly, let's talk about the cameras. And the first thing you need to know is that the only hardware upgrade the S25 FE has here is with its new selfie shooter. You're now looking at a slightly higher res 12 megapixel sensor with a slightly wider f2.2 lens. The rest of the setup remains exactly the same. But despite that, Samsung's optimization over the years have gotten so much better that I'm pretty confident the S25 FE is going to be the best camera phone under 40,000 rupees even 6 months down the line. As you can see from these samples, the S25 FE's photos have that typical Samsung optimization with punchy colors, very good dynamic range, and such a well-balanced look that it makes you forget about editing your pictures before posting them on social media. Its main camera also retains plenty of details to zoom into, although I can't say the same about the other two lenses. I mean, they look perfectly fine at a glance, although once you start pinching in for more, you can clearly see those low-res ultra-wide and telephoto sensors giving up. Which means the nighttime shots from the ultra-wide and the telephoto cameras are not the best I've seen. The good news is that Samsung's night mode at least does a decent job at cleaning out the overblown highlights and the exposure levels in general. The S25 FE is great with human subjects as well, with nice skin tone and everything else. They're very eye-pleasing, to be honest. I'm noticing slightly softer portraits than I expected though, and I've also found 3 other issues that Samsung needs to address. Number 1, the S25 FE's main camera occasionally tends to have this warm tone in the images, which breaks that color consistency I love to see from all of the cameras. Number 2, I've also noticed it's struggling to retain the details around the shadow areas too, especially from the ultra-wide camera. There is a lot of shadow crushing. And number 3, the post-processing for the low-light shots also takes a bit longer than I expected. As for videos, the S25 FE can do 4K 60 FPS from the main and the selfie camera, with the ultra-wide and the telephoto lenses maxing out at 4K 30 FPS only. And eye-pleasing is how I would like to describe its videos yet again, with nice colors, decent stabilization, and good audio pickup from its built-in mics. Alright, so wrapping it up, like I said at the very start, the Galaxy S25 FE is actually a really good semi-flagship, but only if you buy it after a price drop. Because for its current MRP of 60,000 rupees, there are a lot of other devices that make more sense, like the Vivo X200 FE, which costs the same, or the OnePlus 13, which often goes on sale for around 55,000 rupees. But seriously, one thing that keeps bugging me is that why does Samsung keep doing this? I mean, they launched the FE phones at such an unrealistic price, no one buys them, the reviews go negative, and then a few months later, they drop the price and everyone suddenly loves it. Like, what's the point? I just don't get this marketing strategy at all. If you guys have any theories, do let me know in the comments below because I am genuinely curious. Alright everyone, that was all for this video. For your information, this unit was provided to us by Samsung themselves, but they have no editorial input in this review whatsoever. And if you appreciate our efforts, please please do subscribe to our channel and hit that notifications icon. Saying this, I'm Pratima and thank you so much for watching.